Verse 90, Vivekachudamani. Know this gross body to be the shelter for the individual to conduct all his dealings with the world outside, just as a house is to a householder. Verse 91. Birth, decay and death are the essential properties of the gross body. Fatness and so on, childhood and so on are its different conditions. It has rules of caste and orders of life. It is subject to a variety of diseases, and it is this body that meets with different kinds of treatment such as worship, dishonor, honor, and so on. We will reverse the sequence and first deal with talk 91, which falls under the neti category, condemning the body, and then move on to verse 90, which is positive. So, for verse 91, we will just go through a portion of commentary on this verse by Chinmaya without elaborating further, as we have already dealt with the limitations of gross body in earlier verses elaborately. Change is the characteristic of all things finite, and the body has its essential property of undergoing modifications such as birth, growth, decay, disease and death. It is again the nature of the body to express itself as stout, lean, tall or short. The human form goes through stages of growth such as childhood, youth and old age. When the body gathers to itself new dimensions and looks. It is with reference to the physical body and its relations with the world around that the social codes of behavior are prescribed and strictly followed in society. The various regulations of communal living and standards of behaviors laid down for the various orders of life, various ashramas, are all prescribed for the discipline of the body, and they have a sanction only with reference to the embodied. The body is the seat of all diseases. To the body indeed is all the worship offered, all the honor given, all the dishonor shown. Now we will go to the verse 90, which says, I repeat, know this gross body to be the shelter for the individual to conduct all his dealings with the world outside, just as a house is to a householder. Just as a householder uses a physical house as a base for all worldly interactions like eating, sleeping, working, etc., the embodied self, the purusha or the individual consciousness, reflected consciousness, uses the gross body to interact with the external phenomenal world. So here the house holder is related with the self and the house with the gross body. Rested and refreshed under the security of his house, he moves out again the following day full of energy to meet the challenges of a new day. In the same way, the ego moves out of the physical body to contact the sense objects and returns to it to savor its joys and sorrows. So, it is to be observed that the gross body itself is not to be condemned. Here, a notable observation in this line is that the ego moves out of the body to interact, to transact with the world. If the ego had not manifested, then the gross body by itself is harmless. This is a thing to be noted. The joy or sorrow resulting from conducive or unconducive environments is not felt outside us. They are always felt within, though indeed the objects are always outside. Therefore, the mind goes out to contact the objects, but having contacted them, it returns to the individual's own heart to experience the consequent joy and sorrow. In Vedanta philosophy, the gross body or the sthūla sharira is defined as a non-intelligent instrument or outer covering used by the soul to interact with the material world. Vivekananda writes that the gross body is composed of gross material, the 5 elements, and is the physical vehicle containing external instruments like the eyes, ears, nose, etc. The physical eyes or ears are merely instruments of sensation. Behind them are the organs or centers in the brain, and behind those is the mind. Let us see the relationship of gross body with other bodies. The gross body is the outermost of the 3 layers that cover the Atman. Gross body is the physical mortal body that eats and breathes. Underneath the gross body, the subtle body or the sukshma sharira is composed of the mind, intellect and ego. It survives physical death and carries the soul to its next gross body. Even underneath that is the causal body, Karana Sharira, the seed body containing past karmas and impressions. And if all these, like the peeling of the onion, if all the 3 bodies are peeled off or transcended, what inside is that nothinglessness which is everything, the Atman. In the minor Upanishads, gross body is mentioned as composed of the 5 differentiated elements and obtained through accumulated karma, which is merged into its subtle state, then attains its Karana state. The physical existence and its attributes that are not included in the essence of the self, which transcends physical form. A physical form composed of the 5 elements defined by material existence and bodily functions. Ramanuja, in his commentary on Brahma Sutras, writes, the physical body that is considered the instrument for experiencing ordinary pains and pleasures. The gross body refers to the physical, tangible part of an individual, which holds warmth but does not necessarily denote the presence of the subtle body. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, gross body is considered perishable in contrast to the self, which is imperishable and changeless. Gross body is not the true self. A physical representation of a being that is sustained through material food and is contrasted with the subtler aspects of existence. Sustained through material food, Annamaya Kosha. Physical form of an organism which does not possess the bodily heat after the cessation of life is the gross body, writes Shankara in his Bhashya on Brahma Sutras. In the Yoga Vasishta, it is written about the gross body thus: the physical form that is affected by pleasure and pain, but whose feelings are unreal and do not touch the intangible soul. Impressions have no relation with the pure and simple soul, nor with this as stated in the provided text. The physical embodiment consisting of flesh, bones and sensory organs associated with the living soul's experiences. A physical form that the mind leaves behind upon death, symbolizing the material aspect of existence. Referred to as sthūladeha, it is the physical and material frame of creatures as opposed to their physical essence. It is the ignorance or avidya which causes the individual to falsely identify with this house. I am the body, this is mine. Like we say, this is my house. Which leads to attachment, suffering and the cycle of samsara. The qualities of the body belong only to the sense organs, not to the true self. Now, how can one use this gross body in one's spiritual sadhana? Gross body is base for knowledge. It serves as the platform from which the soul gains experience and knowledge of both the external and internal worlds. Gross body is an instrument for karma. The body is a mere implement for the jiva to reap the fruits of past karma and perform new selfless actions, karma yoga. Gross body is a foundation for higher bodies. According to Swami Rama, a successful yogi must develop and purify all three bodies, gross, subtle and causal, attempting to realize the self while neglecting the physical body is compared to a blind person staggering in the dark. What is the goal? The purpose of this verse and the text as a whole, which is titled as the crest jewel of discrimination, Vivekachudamani, is to encourage the seeker to discriminate between the permanent unchanging Atman and the impermanent non-self elements including the gross body. After completing this, he sat in deep absorption and he meditated on the gross body and then opened his eyes and quickly jotted these points which is reaching you indirect. Gross body plus ego. What is ego here? Mind activated by ahankara and chitta. MBCA sessions. Gross body plus ego is equal to jiva. Jiva with ego uses gross body for all types of activities, good as well as bad. On one side, he engages in prayers and spiritual activities, and on the other side, he engages in physical pleasures and immoral activities. On the other hand, jiva minus ego is equal to self, where the self does not identify itself with the gross body, because without the ego, the jiva is equal to self. So only the ego keeps on reminding him about the functions of his gross body. Leave alone the nitya karmas. When the ego is transcended, then jiva is equal to self does not focus too much on his gross body. Self, as self, the gross body does not function with ego or the mind pushed by ahankara and vasanas. As self, the gross body functions for required purpose, but self does not think about the gross body at all. All the five koshas, gross body falling under the first sheep, Annamaya kosha, being the grossest. All of them are illumined by Atman. So when one transcends all the five koshas one by one, all the three bodies one by one, and exists as self, the self does not come down to think of his gross body, its activities, etc. Atman illumines the five koshas, the three bodies. Existing as Atman, the Jivan Mukta transcends what is illumined, that is the gross body, and exists as illuminator, the self. For a Jivan Mukta, body, mind, intellect, all of them being illumined by the Atman, all of them do not carry any more relevance than existing as the illuminator, the self. His often repeated mantra, leave the matter, catch the self. At this stage, transcendental stage, a sage ever exists as Niranjana, spotless, pure self.